I spoke many times about the topic of tshuva, and I mentioned that unfortunately there's not enough guidance how to do tshuva. There's a lot of awareness of tshuva. A lot of people are doing tshuva, Baruch Hashem, in the last 10, 20 years. They're evaluating about 1 million Baal Tshuvas, which is an unbelievable number. And we see that all around the world there's a movement of outreach from different organizations, from different groups, from different rabbis. In all the corners of the world there's a very strong movement of outreach, and especially using the internet and media and so many other ways to reach to as many souls as possible. And the outreach is done for Jews to become observant, for non-Jews that need to convert, for non-Jews that need to become Noahites, to become Noahites. The outreach is for everybody, it's not only for the Jews. The world is a one entity. We're waiting for the redemption, and the redemption is for everybody, not only for the Jews. And the outreach efforts that we do are not only for Jews. The outreach efforts that we do are for everybody. But we see that Baruch Hashem, that in the last 10, 20, 30 years, it's just becoming more and more and more, and outreach is becoming very, very popular, and Baruch Hashem, the result from that is that we have thousands and hundreds of thousands of Baal Tshuvas. A person who lived their life in a secular way, doesn't matter to what degree, whether completely secular, whether reform, whether conservative, whether, doesn't really matter. I don't like all these definitions. A Jew is a Jew. But they live their life away from Torah and mitzvot, and then they change their way. Same thing with Noahites and same thing with converts. The problem is that there's a very big factory, so to say, of Baal Tshuvas, but then there's nobody to follow up. And there's no a guidance. Once you became religious, okay, here, I'm religious, I have a black suit, now what? So some are very lucky and they have the opportunity and they go to yeshiva. Young men. Some ladies are very lucky and they're young and they go to seminary. My wife, for example, became Baal Tshuva in a later age in her life, so she didn't go to seminary. She was in a seminary for a month, and that's not enough. How can you live your life like a religious person with a month training? So very few people are lucky and they get to go to seminary if they're a girl, and a yeshiva if they're a boy. But what happens to the men when they're older and they can't go to yeshiva? Or a woman when she's 40 or 50 or 60, she can't go to the seminary. So regardless to that, that's one of the many reasons why we opened this institute for the women, because the women don't have where to go. And women need to be educated and taught. But regardless to that, there are thousands of people who become religious and nobody follows up with them. I mean, okay, some are a little bit more serious, so they'll go to more classes, they'll call their rabbi 50 times a day, but they need some type of guidance. And I feel it on myself because I do already outreach for over 10 years. And Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave me the merit, the zchut to reach to hundreds of thousands of people. And I see the volume of emails and calls that we're getting with basic questions, with guidance. It's not necessarily questions in halacha, it's guidance. And it got to a point that now I get on an average day about 1,500 emails, 1,000 to 1,500 emails. That's what we get about every day. We have, as of now, 7 girls that just go and they process emails. And they filter the emails until the email gets to me. That also takes a long time. And I spend 2-3 hours a day. I answer close to 100 emails every day, just questions and phone calls. And half my day is just replying to people, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on an email, whether it's a chat, doesn't matter what it is. But I see, first of all, it's growing and growing, because when they say when you bring the camel to the well, till you bring him to the well, that's not an easy job. But once he's there, he's thirsty, he's drinking, and so you wake somebody up. And then they're like, okay, now I have 528 questions. Who's going to answer them? So I can only say it on myself. I'm sure it's a lot of other rabbis and organizations and groups and congregations have the same thing, is that you wake people up, and now what? And Baruch Hashem, I travel around the world and I lecture and I speak, and we work a lot online and in all sorts of types of media. So yeah, you poke souls, you wake them up, but now they come back and like, okay, what do I need to do?
Well, you're responsible for them because you woke them up.
Excuse me?
Do you have a question and answer page?
Yeah, there is on my website a place where you can submit a question, and Baruch Hashem, we're working with the advanced media and technology that now we're try to saving time. And yeah, if you will send now to any of my websites or any of my social network platforms and a question, you'll get right away an answer. Go to that page and submit your question.
Yeah, okay.
And it's built in such a way that you can actually go to that page and search for the same question that you already asked, because we get sometimes the same question 150 times.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
the
think there was a website, AskTheRabbi.com or something else.
There's a Baruch Hashem, there's a lot of websites. Ask the Rabbi is not my website, but there's Ask Moses and Ask the Rabbi, and there's many websites. And I know they're also caving under the pressure because there's thousands of people that they have questions. And in the system what we built on my website, you can go and you can hit keywords, and it will shoot all the questions that are similar to your question. So that way we're trying to save the questions to be repeated. I have a place on my website that you can see answers that are in audio, answers that are in videos, answers that are text. But the point is that you just threw on me a huge responsibility that I'm responsible. But
You can pull it off, Rabbi. You can pull it off.
the point is that the follow-up is more important than the actual first initiative. It's almost like in any type of medicine. You go first time to the doctor, he gives you whatever prescription or whatever treatment to do, and then you have to come back for a follow-up to see how it's working. So the follow-up is the hard part. To wake up the people, that's one thing. To follow up, that's a very hard thing, because really there's no guidance out there. There's the only guidance is if you really go to yeshiva, and even when you go to yeshiva, I mean, I had the zchut to go to many years to yeshiva, and even in yeshiva you don't get much guidance. In yeshiva you learn Torah. There's not much of guidance for the Baal Tshuva, because a Baal Tshuva is a Baal Tshuva for the rest of his life, even if he's Baal Tshuva for 40 years. When I'm saying Baal Tshuva, it's for me, I'm considering converts as a Baal Tshuva, because it's a new point in your life.
And you mess up and have to be Baal Tshuva.
Yeah.
Right?
Anyways, we're all Baal Tshuvas, but when I'm saying the word Baal Tshuva, Baruch Hashem, we have hundreds of convert students. I'm referring to the converts too. Because a convert for me is like a Baal Tshuva, that she got to a point in their life, they changed their life, now what? And then you become a Baal Tshuva. The reason why I'm saying Baal Tshuva is because you carry with you the baggage that you produced for the last 30, 40 years. So, now here comes a very big terminology, a very big term that we have to first of all understand, because there's a Baal Tshuva, and there's a Choser B'Tshuva. Choser B'Tshuva. Choser means to return. Now the difference between the Choser B'Tshuva and the Baal Tshuva, these are two terms in Hebrew. Choser in Hebrew is to return. What does it mean to return? That I was once a thief, and then I decided that I don't want to steal anymore, so I stopped stealing. And then a month later, my Yetzer Hara saw something shining in a store, and I could not hold my Yetzer Hara, and I stole it. So I went back to stage one, because now I'm back a thief. And then I did Shuvah again. And then for 2-3 months I was able not to steal anymore. I'm not talking about myself, by the way, I'm just giving an example. Don't add to my record. And then again, and I'm going backwards. I'm giving an example with stealing. It can be with anything. It can be in anything, and any type of sin, is that I do the sin, then I repent, 2-3 months pass, sometimes it's 2-3 days, but then I go back again to the sin. As long as I go back again to the sin, I'm considered a Choser B'Tshuva. I'm a yo-yo. One time here, one time here, one time back into Tshuva, one time I fail, one time I fall, one time I fail, I do Tshuva and backwards and forth and yo-yo for the rest of my life. And that's a big part of the Tshuva. The point is that most people, when they reach to that point, then that's where they start falling into despair. Because when you take off, it's like an airplane taking off. That's when you start becoming a tshuva. First, you're on the runway, you're warming up your engines, you get all excited. And then you start accelerating, and the plane accelerates and accelerates. And then after running on the runway for 2-3 minutes and accelerating to an unbelievable speed, then it takes off. And then it takes off for half an hour. It takes off and ascending and ascending and ascending. And finally, after half an hour, it reached the altitude, and then it levels. And then for 12 hours, you're flying on the same altitude. The engines are low. And then every now and then, you go into these pockets, air pockets. This is kind of the analogy of the Baal Tshuva. In the beginning, you're very excited. You're on the runway. Then you take off, so you have a good year or two that you really... You have full force. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu really removes the Yetzer Hara, and he says, let him get to his altitude. Then go back to him. And then once you reach your altitude, then starts all this turbulence, up and down and up and down. And that's where most people start falling into to despair. Some of them fall completely off. And then it starts all this battle. And this is the problem. This is the point where a person starts seeking now what? Now, so up until this point, when you're constantly going backwards and forth, you are considered a chozer b'tshuva. Chozer means to return, which means that every time I'm returning to stage one, and backwards and forth and backwards and forth. Baal tshuva, Baal comes from the word in Hebrew be'alim, which means owner. If I own my home, I'm the be'alim of the home. I'm the owner of my home. I don't have to pay rent, it's my home. Same way with the Baal tshuva. If I already conquered my sin, I'm not doing it anymore, and I'm never doing it anymore, that's the real Baal Tshuva. Then I'm considered a Baal Tshuva because I'm the owner of the Tshuva and I'm never doing it again. So for example, in my personal life, I would say that, let's say, 50% of the sins that I used to do as a secular man, I'm a Baal Tshuva, because I never did it ever again, and I'm never doing it again, and they're totally out of the picture. And then let's say another 50% are bouncing, chozer b'tshuva. So, and I'm saying on myself as a Baal Tshuva, myself. So, to call myself a Baal Tshuva, that's a very high level. So certain things, for example, it's forbidden for a man to be with a woman that is not his wife. So in that sin, I can say, okay, I'm a Baal Tshuva, that's it. I'm married, Baruch Hashem. I'm not going to parties. I'm not hanging out on the beach like I used to. That's it. This department is over. Lock the key, threw it to the garbage. That's it. I'm a Baal Tshuva here. Now, in other departments, I don't know. I'm still swinging backwards and forth and backwards and forth. So these are the two definitions between Baal Tshuva and a Chozer b'tshuva. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we will do every Tuesday, that's going to be our seder, that the first class on Tuesday is going to be about Tshuva, because Tshuva, that's going to take us 5 years of classes. Because there's so much information, what we need to absorb and start bringing it down to actions. It's not just, putting on a black suit and growing a beard, or in your case, putting a dress, and that's it, I'm good to go. That's where it starts. So that's why I mentioned in the class before that when I became religious, for 2 years I refused to have the costume. I was in yeshiva. I did not have beard, I did not wear a suit, I did not go with a hat, I did not have anything that had to do with the costume. I refused to be dressed like a religious man. Because I was like, because if I put the costume, it's the easiest part to put the costume. I call it a costume. Even though there's a lot of mystical reasons and there's a lot of value to how we dress. This is not somebody said, hey, let's wear black suits. That's not why we do that. There's a very deep reason for our dress code. But in the beginning, I said, if I'm going to put on my dress, my costume, so to say, what's called chitzoniyut, the external part, then what's going to be with the pnimiyut? What's going to be with the internal part? I'm going to work on the external part to impress everybody around me. Look how religious I am. But what's going to be with the inside? And then the inside will be neglected. And then what's going to happen? 5 years down the line, when the outside is going to be very rugged, the inside is going to start being very, very weak. So you constantly want to work from the inside, and you want to work from the inside outwards. If my tshuva inside is real, doesn't matter how I dress. Doesn't matter if I wear a certain thing or if I behave a certain way, it's the inside. And the real tshuva is the inside, not the outside. The maasim, the actions are very important. But the real tshuva, the tuning from inside, that's my fight for the rest of my life. And if I was a liar, then it will take me 40 years to fine-tune the problem of lying. And it will start slowly be reduced from being a pathological liar that everything is a lie to here a lie and there a lie, and slowly from a big lie to small lies. And I mean, lie is a lie. A lot of people tell me, okay, it's a white lie, or I just didn't say the truth. A lie is a lie. Doesn't matter how you quote it. And a lie doesn't matter how you're going to try to justify the lie. It's a sin. Lying is a sin. So I'm just giving one example out of many, because lying is something that a big majority of people are dealing with it, because they think in their mind that a small lie is not a lie. It's okay. Small is fine. The reality is that in Shamayim, there's no such a thing as 90% truth. There's truth. There's no 99.9% truth, emet. There's 100% truth, and whatever is not 100% is not truth. That's it. And if you lie, then you lie to yourself, eventually, and you lie to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you want to lie to me or to anybody else, it might work for a certain while. The only problem with lying is that lie has generations. You can't say one lie. You say the first lie, then the second one has to be already prepared to back up the first lie. That lie just starts producing generations. You can't finish it with one lie, because then you don't remember, what did I tell him? What did I tell her? You see the person on the street, I don't remember what I told him. So, and then you have to start producing more lies to back up the first lie. So, this is one example out of many. I mean, I'm talking about lying. I mean, there's many other things in our tshuva, whether it's jealousy, whether it's ayin hara, whether it's anger, whether it's many other problems. Then it's not necessarily me separating the meat and dairy, or me not doing a certain thing. That's one thing. That's one department out of many departments in my tshuva. So unfortunately, in many places, whether it's countries, cities, congregations, I grew up in a certain town in Israel. You grow up with all sorts of ideas and all sorts of theories and all sorts of habits. And 50% of these theories and habits and ideas are crooked. They're not parallel to the Torah. So doing tshuva is not only me, putting tefillin in the morning, or separating my meat and dairy, or preparing for Shabbat, or learning about the laws of Shabbat so I can observe the Shabbat. Sometimes it's correcting a certain chain of thought, a certain ideology or something that is completely against the Torah. Now, I grew up in a very secular town in Israel. I grew up with some type of a brainwashing system that it took years to start removing it from the system. So, and if you go now to one of these cities, they're good people, very nice people, they're very friendly to each other, and they're good citizens, and many good things. I'm not saying they're mean people, but with a very crooked way of thinking. Now start removing that from your system, getting rid from the system. So the tshuva, again, is not only actions. Tshuva is in my entire, what's called derech machshava, the path of my thought. Because my path of thought has to be parallel to the Torah. And if it's not parallel to the Torah, then I have a problem. So my entire tshuva is including many different categories or aspects, or however you want to look at it. It's really, you got to start cleaning the mess out. Now, since we're going to talk a lot about tshuva and many different things, today I want to talk about one thing that I call it the babushka tshuva. You know what's a babushka? You know those dolls that you open one and inside there's another one, and then you open the other one, has another one in it, and then you open until you come to this little chachke, okay, this is a babushka. So maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. I hope that the Russians are not going to get upset at me. We had not too long ago a few women came and stayed by us from the Ukraine, and that's the present they got us. My kids got so excited because they got like this funny looking doll that there's more and more. And every time I said that, she kept correcting me that I'm saying it wrong. And So I might pronouncing in the wrong way, but I think it's called babushka. Maybe papushka, I don't remember. But the point is that we are this babushka. And inside of us, there's many, many levels. There's many, many grades, so to say. I don't know if grade is the right translation. In Hebrew it's called madrega, a step, a level. And Bezrat Hashem, after this class, we're going to start learning about Sha'ar HaGilgulim, the gates of reincarnation. And the first thing that we're talking about in gates of reincarnations are the levels of the soul. Which in essence we have 5 levels of our soul. Chaya, Yechidah, Chaya, Neshama, Ruach and Nefesh. But we spoke last week in the class about the Zohar that we actually have 125 levels of our soul. And we're going to learn that very soon in the gates of reincarnation. But my soul is built from levels. Now the levels is not like steps. Rather, if you take now and you see these cups that we make the coffee with, you look over there, there's a pile of them. Then in essence, it looks like one long cup. But it's one cup in another cup, in another cup, in another cup, in another cup, and so forth. That's what it means, the levels of our soul. That one goes inside the other, and if you're looking at that pile of cups, it's the same diameter. It doesn't change its diameter. It's just one is dressed inside the other. And you can build now a 5-meter tower of cups. This is how the souls get dressed in each other, so to say. Not the souls, the levels of the souls. Exactly. Diameter is spirala. So this is why I call this tshuva part the babushka. Because in me, I have so many layers of the me. And in essence, what is me? When you ask a big question, what is me? My body, my clothes, what is me? Me is my neshama. The inner part in me, that's my spiritual parts. But again, we're going to talk very soon in Sha'ar HaGilgulim about what's this essence. Because me, if I'm asking me, what's a me? In Hebrew, it's called regesh. Regesh is a feeling. Because I'm full of feelings inside of me. If you ask what is really me, is what I feel inside. Excitement, happiness, sadness, depression, all the feelings that I have inside me. And I don't know if I'm translating it right. In Hebrew it's called regesh. Regesh is something that you can feel, something that you can actually, you can't touch it. Because you can't touch sadness, and you can't touch happiness, and you cannot touch excitement, but you feel it. And if I'm going to ask you today, how are you today? You tell me, today I'm very happy. How do you know? I feel it. Today I'm very sad. How do you know? I feel it. I can't feel what you're feeling. You can be sad now, you can be tired, you can be excited. I cannot feel it, and I'll never feel it. And you can never give over to me your feeling. It's something we cannot share with each other. So that's kind of defining what's the me, is my feelings. But that's another levush, another garment to the original, to the main, to the essence of what I am, which is my soul. The body is just a dress to the soul. So when I do tshuva, I have to reveal the me, the real me, not the external parts. That's why I said when I grew up in a certain ideology, a certain way of thinking, a certain pattern of life. You have to start peeling it to reveal the real me. Because for me, it was normal 30 years ago to hate a group of people. I grew up hating religious people. That's how I grew up. I was brainwashed to hate anyone with a beard and a black suit. We have to hate them because they're coming to milk the country from its money, and I go and risk my life in the army, and they don't, and they sit all day long and learn, and they get money. All these theories, which are completely wrong, by the way, but what the propaganda you have in Israel against the religious people, that maybe 2% of it is actually right, 90%, 98% of it is not even right. But that's how I grew up. Now start peeling it off, because it's not necessarily the hate towards the religious group. It's the fact that I can tolerate the option of hating even another person that I don't know. To a point that I always give an example. One time I went on a bus and I sat next to a man, and I just sat next to him and he went like that. I'm not joking. And I was like, what's wrong? And he sits like this the whole way. I'm like, okay, you want to sit like this? Good, I have more space. And then he tells me, so he whispers, you're all the same. He like mumbles that. I'm like, what? He tells me, you're all the same. He told me, do you know me? Do you know who I am? How do you tell me you're all the same? You came and you made a research in my neighborhood? You know that we're all the same? How do you know? What, you have special eyes that you can see? Well, I don't know, maybe if you would remove this screen of hate, maybe we can be best friends. Maybe I can teach you something. Why do you think we're all the same? So right away he threw some comment about that, something about the army. I told him, without knowing you, I guarantee to you that I was more a soldier than you. And when you were a little kid running on the playground with your ball, I was in Lebanon fighting. So don't throw to me the army. Don't look at this and think that because I have a beard, then I didn't do the army. And I told you, I guarantee to you that I was more of a soldier than you. And I'm not telling you, you're all the same. And he said, you know me? Maybe I'm the one that if Chas v'Shalom you have a car accident, I'm going to be the one who pulls you out of the car and does CPR on you. How do you know? Why you tell me you're all the same? What kind of a distorted way to look at another human being? But unfortunately, I can relate with him because that's how I grew up. Now, it's not hating the group itself. It's the fact that I have hate towards somebody else for no reason. And we spoke about it on Sunday, this concept of sinat chinam, of hating another person. I don't know him. I don't know anything about him, and I'm able to hate him because I don't even know him. Because he's dressed a certain way. That's how distorted sometimes the way that we're brought up. And I'm giving one example out of 5 million. You try to use your imagination of different examples. But tshuva, like I said before, is not just the actual rituals. It's starting to get rid of layers. And these layers are like this babushka. First I have to, if you notice the big babushkas, there's a lot of details on them. And when you go to the small one, it's so small, there's not a lot of details on them. The big ones, they have beautiful patterns and colors. And why? Because there's a lot of space, which means that the more that I'm pumped up with my ego, the more I'm concerned and concentrated on the chitzoniut, on the external part, there's a lot of space. And the space will attract anything negative possible. And I have to slowly not only peel my external layers. By peeling my external layers, I'm already diminishing myself and diminishing myself and diminishing myself to a point that the essence, is small and it cannot be broken anymore. My little girl, when she got to the little one, she was trying to open it. I told her, that's it. That's the last stage. This one doesn't open. She was like, but all the other ones were opened. How come this one doesn't open? So that's it. You got to the essence. The essence cannot be broken. That is the essence. And then, of course, she puts it in and you build it back up. So we are in essentially a babushka. And I have to start not only peeling my external layers, every layer that I peel, I have to diminish myself. Diminish myself, and I'm not talking to make myself a shmate, to make myself a slave to somebody. I'm talking about humbling myself, making myself a little bit less of an existence, diminishing my ego, diminishing my negative presence around many other people. So this is a very important part of my tshuva. And just on that, we're going to have to go many different classes. But the point is to start understanding the concept that my tshuva is not only about opening the book or coming to a class, so I know if I'm allowed to make coffee on Shabbat, or how to make my tea on Shabbat, or what I'm allowed to, what I'm not allowed to, and all these little things. Sometimes people are so fanatic about the nitty-gritty and all sorts of little details, which is good. I like fanatic. But they're so fanatic about the mitzvot and the Torah. When it comes to the self-refinement, there's no work there at all. And then what happens is that you have the result of a very religious human being that is like fanatic, that if you move something the wrong way on Shabbat, wah, World War III. But when it comes to something basic, what's called ben adam lechavero, then there's nothing there because the person is not refined at all. What happened here is there was a lot of work in the chitzoniut, a lot of work in the external part. Chitzoniut is external. There was a lot of work outside, in the mitzvot, in the Torah, but there wasn't removal of these layers to a point that I'm really getting in touch with my essence, with myself. For me to do tshuva, and we're going to learn that very soon in Sha'ar HaGilgulim, The whole concept of the reincarnations is not to torture me. People think reincarnation is a punishment. It's not. It's a complete opposite from a punishment. The gematria, the numerical value of the word Gilgul, is the same numerical value of the word Chesed. People think that Gilgul, that a reincarnation is a punishment. Oh, probably in a previous life you did such and such and now you're getting your punishment. What kind of nonsense is that? Sometimes people see a certain situation and they say, oh, this happened to him because in a previous life he did this and that. What are you, the Arizal? Can you know what happened to somebody in a previous life? People, they see a child that is mentally or physically challenged. Oh, in a previous life he did this and that. What kind of a chutzpah is that? How can somebody come and dare to say, oh, that happened because of that? Nobody. There were few people in our history, maybe 5, that were able to look at a human being and know exactly everything about him. And I mentioned Arizal because he was one of the only ones who was able to look at a human being and know all his Gilgulim and all his past lives. The Baal Shem Tov had the same level. There were a few that we know of. I'm sure there was a few that we don't know of. The point is that we don't know what happened in a previous life, and a Gilgul, a reincarnation, is not a punishment. Rather, it's to refine me. I'm removing another layer, and every reincarnation that I come back, I remove a layer. So that's a whole different thing. And just because the comment is smart, because some part of the Gilgul, there is some type of a concept of tikkun. And I will use a bold word as punishment. But the essence of the Gilgul is the refinement. Is what's called zikuch. רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל. What does it mean לזכות? לזכך. לזכות, the translation is to give merits. But really, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את ישראל, לזכך אותם, to make them pure, לפיכך הרבה להם תורה ומצוות. That's why he gave them a lot of Torah and mitzvahs, so we can work on ourselves. This is what's called zikuch. So I call it the babushka, because you start peeling layers and another layer and another layer, and I in my path of tshuva every day I remove another layer. And I had a real serious problem with anger when I was religious. I mentioned that in one of the classes. I used to break the windows all the time. Then just removing this, it doesn't come overnight. So from becoming a complete hothead, and then it starts slowly, and then it happens once a week, and then once a month, and then once a year. But there is still that nuclear power deep down in the neshama that all it needs to be poked one time and it goes berserk. And it's not only me. I mean, a lot of people have problems with anger. And to work on your anger, that's a lifetime. That's tshuva. Tshuva is not the black suit. Black suit is nice. To get rid of my anger, the Torah says, "Uvi'arta ara mikirbecha." Bi'arta, biur, is to not only to get rid, is what we do on Pesach. Biur is to burn it, to completely annul it. What does it mean to burn? To burn it to dash, to make it not exist anymore. That's biur. So when the Torah says bi'arta, hara mikirbecha, all the bad inside of me, my tshuva is coming from inside. If I'm going to do tshuva from inside, the outside is going to follow through. And that's why I refused in the first 2.5 years in yeshiva to be dressed like a religious person, because I said that's not going to signify my tshuva. My tshuva is if I really work from inside. And then I will be proud to wear a black suit. And then I'll be proud to put a hat and to have the costume. So the point we want to take from this class is that we have to concentrate on the layers that we have to remove, and we have to understand that we have to have a lot of patience. This is not coming in a month and not a half a year, not a year. That can be years. Years of hard work that I'm removing a layer and removing a layer. And as you're removing the layer, you don't notice how much you're removing. The same analogy like an onion. Start peeling now an onion, you're going to go around like this 40 times. The onion is not going to change much because every layer of the onion is a microscopic, it's a micromillimeter. So you know how many layers you have to remove for finally the onion to be peeled? But if you very detailed, you're going around and around, and slowly in a microscopic way, you'll see that the onion is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. It's inevitable. You can't. It's not going to stay the same size. That's the exact same with my tshuva. If I'm concentrating on what's going on in now, I'm not going to see the change. But if I'm going to look now in the year Tafshin Ein Zayin, and I'm going to look back to the year Tafshin Samech Zayin, 10 years back, wow! Oh, then you see the distance. You don't see it from here to 2 months ago. And the thing is, and that's the main problem of a Baal Tshuva, is that at some point you feel you're giving it all you have, and you're saying, I'm walking on one spot, nothing is changing. And that's where people fall into despair. Because that's what the Yetzer Hara will present you. He's not going to present to you the success. The Yetzer Hara is going to tell you, you're walking on the spot. You're not doing anything. Nothing is moving. So the point to take from this shiur is that we have to concentrate on how am I refining myself to reach to the core essence of my neshama, because that's the real me. And to reveal the real me. Because the real me is possessing unbelievable wellsprings of an abundance of everything. Of wealth and happiness and success, and everything is hidden in the neshama. My point as a Baal Tshuva, Chozer B'Tshuva, however you want to define it, is to reach to the essence, because that's my avodah in this world. And I need one department, I need to concentrate on Torah mitzvot, because I have to do that. And the other department, I have to work on my refinement of character. And the other department, I have to work on myself. Another department with me and another person. It's depending on many different things. So B'ezrat Hashem, we will continue to have many more classes about the topic. For today, at least what you need to take for today is you have to have a daily workout that you exactly like you would work out your body on a treadmill, is a daily concentration, a daily meditation where you're saying, what layer am I peeling today? I have to peel some type of a layer. And today I'm concentrating on something. And Be'ezrat Hashem, the Kadosh Baruch Hu guides you which layer you have to work on today. So if you're going to wake up in a very bad mood, today you have to work on your patience or your anger. And if you wake up and the first thing in the morning you open your phone and there's an annoying message from somebody, then you have to work on your judgment. How you're judging that person that just sent you this annoying message. And every day Kadosh Baruch Hu hints to you. We think that it's just the motion of the world. Kadosh Baruch Hu is very kind, and He says, today I'm going to make you work on your patience. Everybody's going to annoy you today. And today I'm going to make you work on this, and today I'm going to make you work on that. And you have to have in your mind the awareness and the clarity. What is my job today? When I wake up in the morning and I say Modeh Ani, the next thing that I should say, I don't know why our sages did not say it, is they should add a line, what is my job today? What's my job? Because Hashem sends us the job description of the day, whether it's coming by email, by fax, by WhatsApp, by wherever you want it. Hashem sends you that task for the day. You just have to recognize it. You just have to see what am I have to do today. And every day that I do something, I am working on my tshuva. And the point is that my being and my concentration is tshuva, because I have to refine myself in such a way that I don't want to reach the end of my life and I didn't complete my tshuva. And I'm going to really have to come back again in a Gilgul to complete. So the point is that every day I have to work on something. And I have to really meditate on the fact that there's millions of layers. And every layer that I remove, then it has to come with also a little bit of more anava, a little bit more shaflut, what's called being more humble. And the more I humble myself, the more I make myself small, the less details, so to say, can be registered, meaning that I have to deal with much less things, because I'm much more humble. And the more humble I am, then I'm going to fight with less people, I'm going to hate less people, I'm going to argue with less people, I'm going to have issues with less people. Because if I have 100 arguments a day, then and I'm humbling myself, then by default I'm removing it to 90 arguments a day. Because I know when to move back, when to say I'm sorry, when to shut up, when to move away. So B'ezrat Hashem, Hashem will guide us to have the right tools and guidance. We will continue every Tuesday, first class, our guidance of how to really do tshuva. And B'ezrat Hashem, I'm sure that Hashem will help us to really concentrate on what we need to. And the point to take that is the most important, that in order to do tshuva, you really have to have guidance. And a lot of people don't realize that you have to have a personal trainer. You want to lose weight, you go to a dietitian. You want to be a good athlete, you have a trainer. Anything you want to do, you want to be good in business, you need a mentor. you must have a mentor. You can call it however you want. You can call it a rabbi, you can call it a rebbitzin, you can call it a mashpia, a madricha, whatever definition you want, you can call it. But the point is that you need somebody that mentors you. Because our sages say, "En asur matir atzmo mibet ha'asurim." A prisoner cannot let himself out of his own cell. If I'm drowning, chas v'shalom, I can put my hand as much as I want out. If somebody's not going to be out there to pull me out, my hand is worthless. So I need somebody constantly to pull me up. I need a personal trainer, a real personal trainer that guides me in my tshuva, that can come and tell me, listen, this you're doing wrong and this you're doing good. And don't put so much attention on this, put more attention on that. Don't concentrate on this is nonsense, concentrate on that. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they still have some type of an esteem that if chas v'shalom somebody tells them you're not doing something good, they, instead of taking that as positive criticism, they take it as criticism and, oh, I don't want to talk to him right now. I have a lot of students that it starts well, and then I tell them, this you're not doing good. Oh, you always tell me bad things. You wanted me to help you. So what do you want me to point on the good things? I have to point the bad things. You go into the doctor, what do you want the doctor to tell you? All your organs are good, I'm not telling you that that organ is bad. You don't get upset at the doctor when he comes and tells you, listen, you have a problem here. What are you expecting the doctor to tell you? Listen, your brain works well, your eyes are very good, your back is perfect, go. Yeah, but I came because I have pain. You expect the doctor to tell you, this is your problem. So you come to your mentor will tell you, I'm sorry to tell you, you are very stingy. You are very angry. You are very whatever, hard to deal with. So that's where I need to humble myself. If I humble myself, I can actually let all these mirrors that are in front of me actually reflect on me. My wife is a mirror, my husband is a mirror, my kids are a mirror, everybody around me are mirrors to show me where I'm holding. And if I just remove every day one layer and another layer and another layer of my ego, of my babushka, then I can start actually receiving from each individual in my life what I need to work on. So if I have a very annoying boss, it means that I have to work on my patience. It's not then the boss that is annoying. I should say thank you that I have a job even. And whatever it is. So the point is that I have to constantly be aware of what's going on around me and to concentrate on every day what I need to peel, what layer I have to work on. And my main goal is to reach to my inner essence. That's what I need to reveal. My me. And that can only be good. There's nothing bad in the neshama. So whatever will be revealed from it will be my kindness and my compassion and my love and my understanding. And I can tell just on myself that when I grew up, I wasn't a nice guy. And it was almost impossible to think, what, I can actually tolerate another person or be nice to another person? People now that see me after 20 years, they don't believe that it's me, because I was like the bully of the class. I was the most disgusting guy, making fun of everybody, bullying everybody, pushing everybody, making jokes that's how I was. But, you know, when you really remove all the layers, all this junk, you find that inside there's actually something much, much nicer. As much as good as you think you are 100 times better. You are more kind than you think. You are more courteous than you think. You're more charitable than you think. Why? There's just too many layers. Because we're all good. The neshama is the essence of good. And it just wants good. It just needs to be revealed. My work for today and for the rest of the week and bichlal is this babushka. Just peeling layers, constantly peeling layers till I find my essence, what's called the Gilui Or Ein Sof, because I have a piece in me that is a piece of Or Ein Sof. We're going to learn now B'Shar HaGilgulim. I want to Gilui, what's called the Yechidah Sheba Nefesh, the highest level of my Nefesh. That's what I want to reveal. And when I will reveal that, my true essence will be revealed. And that's when I really going to complete my tshuva. That's called a Baal Tshuva, that I conquered everything and now I can get the title of a Baal Tshuva. B'ezrat Hashem, we work on that. Every step that we do just will hasten the ultimate Geula. B'ezrat Hashem, it should see it very soon, and each and every one of us should have very big success in our path of Tshuva.